Hi, this is Ellie Glazer, founder and director of the Surveyor Weight Loss Solution, where we're revolutionizing the way the world looks at weight loss. And thanks for joining this week's video podcast. Hydrate and contemplate. Drink and think. And I don't mean a hit of single malt. Being spontaneous and impulsive in and of themselves is not necessarily a bad thing. In some situations in life, it could be an inappropriate reaction. But for those of us who are trying to change our relationship with food and improve our eating habits, then it really is not an asset, it's a liability. Because so often in the past, what we used to do when we had that first feeling of hunger or trigger of an emotional reaction that we wanted to comfort ourselves with food, we would just catastrophize at that first feeling. We wouldn't contemplate. We would just flail for the first thing to eat because that was the only way we perceived that we could satisfy our hunger or comfort ourselves. And that was an illusion, it wasn't a reality. So one of our important tools, one of our necessary critical tools to help counterbalance that is the concept of hydrate and contemplate. Drink and think. So when we first get that trigger, which is normal, there's nothing wrong with us, it's not a personality defect or a character flaw because we have life and we have reactions and feelings, but we don't want to react immediately based on that first sensation. We want to first take a drink of water. We want to take an action. Now, why is that? Because it's harder for us to control our spontaneity or impulsivity when it expresses itself in a negative way. Let's say when we're angry and we, lash out with an inappropriate word or a manner that we speak to our spouses or our children. That's harder to control because our words kind of just create themselves and come out right away from those first thoughts. But eating isn't like that. Eating doesn't happen automatically. That we have to put 1, 2, and 3 together in order to come to 4, which is actually an action, to take an action by getting the food, by going to the cabinet, by going to the refrigerator, putting together, getting in the car and going to the store. So that gives us an opportunity to hydrate and contemplate. The first action we want to take, and this is what we want to really drill deep inside of ourselves, is to take a drink of water. Hydrate yourself. It's amazing how water will not just satiate our thirst, but it will maintain a stable blood sugar level, and it'll take the edge off that trigger. It'll take the edge off that sensation and give us an opportunity to contemplate, to think, do I really need to eat now? Is this a spontaneous reaction? Is this an impulsive feeling I'm having? At the end, it's just going to end up bad as it has always ended up in the past? We only have the opportunity to contemplate that if we first hydrate and take a positive action and take a drink of water. It sounds trite, but it's really, really important and it's critical and it's such an effective tool. So that's why we want to understand and digest and nourish ourselves today with the concept of hydrate and contemplate. Drink and think. Don't feel and flail, right? I feel something, I'm flailing for the food. Because if you drink and think, then you'll drink and think your way to success. But if you just feel and flail, then you're ending up about to fail. You want to work it through. Don't let it work you over. Don't let it overwhelm you, even though that's how it's feeling, but work it through. Consider. Don't catastrophize. Oftentimes when we're having that first feeling, our conclusion goes immediately to the end of the spectrum. We catastrophize. If I don't eat something right away, I'm not going to be able to survive the next 5 minutes. I'm going to starve. I'm going to be incapacitated for the rest of the day. I'm going to be too deprived. I'm not going to deal with this emotion. That's the catastrophe that we're imagining in our head, in our feelings at that moment. But that's not true. So we want to consider, not catastrophize. Don't hit the panic button. And I'll give you an example to illustrate this point. Let's say you and your 5-year-old child will walk into a dark room at night and you can't find the lights and you go in and you both stub your toe. And it hurts. The pain relative to the two of you is the same, but your reaction is very different. Your reaction, ouch, it hurts. You're rubbing your toe, maybe you'll sit on the couch. She's having a panic attack. She's wailing, wailing. Why? We have to understand, why is your reaction, even though the pain relative to the two of you is the same, why is your reaction very different? Because for your 5-year-old, she lives in those 5 minutes is the rest of her life. So therefore, she's perceiving, she's catastrophizing that pain that she's having now is never going to go away. So what's causing her that fear, what's causing her that reaction isn't the actual discomfort as much as the perception that the discomfort won't be alleviated. And that's what's causing the panic. And how do you settle that? How do you deal with that? By giving her a hug, by giving her a kiss and saying it's okay. And an amazing thing happens. 3 seconds later, she runs off as if nothing ever took place. Right? What happened to her? Her toe might still be throbbing, but you'd helped her change her channel. Right? But that's why she reacted the way she did. But we don't, because we can see beyond those 5 minutes. We can absorb those uncomfortable 5 minutes. We don't have to catastrophize. It is uncomfortable now. We are in an unpleasant situation, but we're thinking, we're considering, we're not catastrophizing. So we have that skill set. Let's apply it in our relationship with food and the triggers that we engage in every day. So that's why from this point forward, we're going to really take that tool and put it on our tool belt. Hydrate and contemplate. Drink and think. Because that's your way to success. Thanks for watching, and please don't forget that nothing tastes as good as feeling good feels.